Good morning from the center of Manhattan, center of New York, center of the world. We're right by Empire State Building, across from Macy's. Windows of that store were really nicely decorated for Christmas and for holidays in general, but today everything is gone, so they're replacing them with something different now. I'll show you again. Beautiful view. This is probably one of the best views to Empire State Building. Empire State Building is located on 34th Street and 34th Street and 5th Avenue, and it's one of the main sites in the city, as well as one of the main observation deck that it has on one of its top floors. And we are now on Broadway. Broadway leads us first to Times Square and then to Central Park. We will make it to both destinations today. It's a little colder than it was before, but still a few degrees above zero in Celsius. I still cannot get used to Fahrenheit. I cannot get used to inches. I did get used to miles. I did get used to pounds, because it's approximately half a kilo, a little less. So, as I said, we are walking on Broadway, as you can also see with the Empire State Building. This is the longest avenue in the city. It goes all the way from downtown by diagonal to Harlem, which is also part of Manhattan. And let me see activities. All right. I can now see your comments if you will be writing something. And for people who are new to my channel, welcome. You can now see the video which I uploaded just a couple of days ago, where I introduce myself. And to make it brief, I will be your tour guide in New York. This channel is pretty new, but I had channel in a different language, and it was really, and it still is very popular. I have several accounts on social media, including TikTok, YouTube in a different language, Instagram. I had Periscope, and people seem to like it. We'll see if English channel will be similar. I'm sure it will, if not better. People are decorating Broadway, so they're putting lights, which seem like Christmas lights, even though Christmas is over, but they're now putting them here. But it looks much better than without them. Usually where you see lights now, there are seats which are mostly occupied by homeless people. Homeless or, unfortunately, drug addicts in that specific area. Hello, Dmitry. Hi. A little gloomy in New York today, but still comfortable weather. At least it's not raining. There are a lot of sunny days in New York, much more I would say than in Europe or in other parts of the world where I've been to. So weather in New York is actually really great, because you can experience sometimes a day where it would be plus 20 degrees Celsius, just like it was the other day in New York a couple of days ago, and then either the same day or the following day it can be negative weather, which is jumpy. It's probably bad for people who react to weather, but at the same time you don't have to suffer for a long time in the winter from the cold or the snow or the slushiness or the muddy streets. It's pretty clean here all the time. It's pretty dry, maybe because Manhattan is an island and it's very often very windy. So all the wind blows the dust away, I guess, and makes puddles dry. Plus sunny days, as I said. And as you can see, we're approaching Times Square. I hope connection will not let us down when we get to it, but let me know if it does get worse. Church bells, lantern. And I actually do like when it rains here, because maybe because of the amount of people, maybe because of the amount of restaurants, it does get pretty dirty in New York, or trash, as you see, as you know probably, that lays in streets of the city all the time. So, with that said, city does get pretty busy and pretty dirty, but when it rains, it washes some of the stuff, let's call it that way, away. Some places are still closed, but they will be really busy once lunchtime starts, because this is the place where there are no residential buildings. These are just offices and stores and cafes, restaurants, whatnot. So people do not live in the buildings which you see to the right and to the left. There are areas which are mostly residential, there are areas which are only non-residential, and there are areas which are a mix. This specific area, it's non-residential at all. It is foggy, it is gloomy, but it is not raining today. And later on, it will even clear up a little. Hello ice cream, which is spelled a little wrong. I will be doing live videos here more often than I thought. It would be more than, I will try to do it more than once a week. But we'll see how it goes. Some places of Broadway, just like this street, is only for pedestrians, so cars do not go here. There's a place which sells weed, and people smoke weed right next to it. I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first official store where they sell weed legally. By weed, I mean marijuana. Before, you saw a lot of places, including smoke stores, where they were still selling it, but I guess I didn't know until this store opened, that it was illegal, because they were just openly selling it without even hiding from police. Sometimes you could even see police buying weed. If connection changes as we're approaching Times Square, if it becomes worse, please write this in comments. I will try to move away to a different street. You can see a lot of scooters, a lot of bikes riding on the road where pedestrians walk. This is not allowed by law, and people usually get are supposed to be fined for this. But in New York, no one cares. It's a little dangerous, but just be careful if you are here. All over Broadway, just one permanent smell of weed. I personally don't appreciate it, and it's difficult to live with the smell of weed. If you don't know what it's like, I will describe it to you. I cannot describe the smell itself, but imagine something that you don't like. It's not like cigarettes. Cigarettes is light. If you don't like cigarettes, then weed is much, much worse. And if smell of the cigarettes just disappears as the smoke goes away, smell of weed stays for minutes, if not hours. And sometimes you don't even know who smokes, because it's so stagnant that a person could have passed several minutes ago and the smell is still there. It's awful. I will show you the bowl that drops for New Year's. It's right there. On New Year's, you see a sign which is first on the floor or the ground of Times Square of the year to come. This year it was, well, last year, or this year it was 2023. And then they put it up all the way on top of this building a few days before New Year's, and then it stays for a whole year. They said that someone put down the sign, that it was not there yesterday or the day before yesterday. Let's check if it's there now. Last time when I did live video, I showed you Avenue of the Americas and Bryant Park. They're over there. And we looked to the left where we are now, and I said, that's where Times Square is. And here we are now. Okay, I don't know if connection is good. If you can see what I show, it's the same as it was before, only Texas. And all of them I actually, well, except for the first one, maybe the second one neither. So have occupied, have not occupied. There are not as many tourists now as there used to be. There were just a few days ago, until I would say January 2nd. But Times Square always gets busy. Let's see what's happening there now. Constant scaffolding, as you can see, non-stop construction all over the city. When I go to Europe, I'm actually surprised at the size of construction. There are no construction sites compared to New York. Here, scaffolding is really major. It's massive. It's huge. While in Europe, it looks like more like a tester. It's really funny. Times Square. The first thing that you see as you go to Times Square: homeless people. Sometimes crazy people, sometimes homeless people, sometimes both, most of the time, all the time both. American flag, some green people standing, probably looking at NASDAQ. Let's go and see who they are. It says guide. So they're probably looking at NASDAQ, which is right here. You cannot see it very clearly because of weather and because of construction. It says go Achilles, Moody. Some company probably that is present on NASDAQ. I don't know. These are a lot of people who seem to be with Down syndrome, and I actually appreciate how such people are being treated in the United States of America. They're just like anyone else. Times Square is really empty, and I would say really clean as well. It does start to drizzle now a little, but it's not bad, so I won't even take an umbrella out. And we're in China. And yes, the sign for 2023 is not there. It's probably under construction as well. This is where Good Morning America show takes place. Usually there was audience that could get there for free if you requested tickets in advance, but now they stopped doing it. They stopped it during COVID, but I think that they might resume at some point. Times Square, that is correct. Doesn't seem like anything is happening in this studio right now. Maybe it's all upstairs or a little further where we can see. Okay, let's see if there is anything interesting happening on Times Square. I appreciate to see people who clean Times Square right now, because it does need some cleaning, especially especially after New Year's, where there were a lot of confetti, a lot of trash, and a lot of other things that did need to be cleaned. Wow, so much cleaning. Can't believe it. Oh, and they're planting something. Good. I got a stable connection when I drive up to the home. Safe driving. And if you are new to the channel, I do suggest that you subscribe, because I will be doing a lot of videos. I'll be doing live, I'll be doing shorts, I'll be doing videos that are pre-recorded, and I will be sharing a lot of interesting things which you probably won't see, most likely, no, guaranteed, will not see on other channels, on other YouTube channels. And you will always have feedback from me to any questions or suggestions that you might have, or just comments to say how great or it is what you saw, or that you learned or saw something you didn't know existed, that you didn't know can be found in New York, or something else. I'm always happy to say, I'm always happy to respond. Times Square is, I would say, as empty as it was, well, close to being as empty as it was during COVID. I cannot even believe what I see now. But I don't mind it at all. I hope it doesn't get busier. No, actually Times Square needs to be busier. Otherwise it wouldn't be the same. There are a lot of performances that take place now here during the day. People are still waking up. That's why you don't see anyone but these funny creatures, which are actually Mexicans. Or people from Dominican Republic, from definitely the Latin America. But later in the day, it will look different. Maybe I will pass by this place at night, and I will show you then what it looks like. Oh, and by the way, if you write comments in a different language rather than English, one of the 4 languages that I know, which are English, French, German, and Russian, I will respond in that language to any comment that you have. The famous red stairs, they are closed now, and they usually are closed, always are closed when it rains, as they're slippery, and it would be dangerous if people went there. Have not seen this place so clean in a long time. Me too. I totally agree with you. A lot of advertisements all over Times Square. So, this is a place under the stairs where it says TKTS. It stands for tickets. And what it means is that you can actually buy tickets here. Which tickets? To Broadway shows. But not just tickets, but discounted tickets. If some tickets to some shows are not sold by a specific date and time, they go on discounts, so that the place where the performance is held is more occupied. So they just give you tickets which you would normally buy at, like, let's say $200. You can find them here for $75. So if you do want to go to one of the Broadway shows, but you don't want to pay full price, wait until the last moment and you will definitely be able to get a discounted ticket. But just be aware that you would need to stand sometimes in a very long line. Again, we are on Broadway. As I said, Broadway goes by diagonal. To the right is 7th Avenue, to the left is 8th Avenue, and straight ahead is Central Park, where we're headed right now. We might take one of the secret avenues, which is called 6.5 Avenue, and it does not go throughout the whole city. It goes only, it's hidden among limited number of streets, and I will show them to you. They are not open. This avenue is not open like other avenues all the time. It closes after a certain hour and it opens early morning. And it's comfortable because just like scaffolding, which is like one of the main advantages of scaffolding, besides safety, is that you can hide there from rain, from hail, from snow. It does not snow that too often in New York at all. Not in New York City, but definitely in New York State. So upstate, close to Canada, there is snow right now. And I do hope, fingers crossed, that it will snow in New York this year as well, this winter. Because when it snows, New York, Manhattan does look like a fairy tale. And probably the whole New York City, not just Manhattan, not limited to Manhattan. Alright, so people start to become more in number here. There are Broadway shows and there are off-Broadway shows. The idea is the same, so you wouldn't know which one is probably sometimes Broadway, which is off-Broadway, but I'll tell you difference. Difference is in size of the place, of how many people watch the show. Not how many people watch the show, but the size of the theater where the show, the performance is held. This is a famous Paramount building, Paramount Plaza, Statue of Liberty mini version. And this is one of the Broadway shows, maybe off-Broadway, I'm not exactly sure, with Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman lives in New York. He doesn't live far from here. He lives right by Hudson River in Upper West Side of New York. Always a huge line to go to one of the restaurants on the corner, but now I think it might be to see someone. I don't know. Let's see. Where are these people lined up to?
100%.
Maybe it's this to the show.
Oh, where you're...
How's their line?
We're waiting for Rush tickets for
What are rushes?
so they're like cheap tickets when the box office opens. So we got here really early to get them.
And it's for the same day? Tickets for the same day? Okay, and how much, like, what is the difference in
Yeah,
price?
so right now, because it's closing next week, the tickets are like very expensive.
Like, how much is it for?
I would say, like for tickets that people are I saw last night, like there was like $170 for tonight kind of thing. We can get $49 tickets.
Oh, wow. So
But like I got here at 6:20 this morning, so.
good luck.
Yeah. So like, but that's what you can come to. A lot of the theaters have them, and some of them you can get to at 10 and you can get like 45 and stuff.
Oh, wow. Oh, so, but you can only, so if you get tickets today, it's only for the show that is today.
Yeah, for today. But this show's really popular, so that's why there's such a long line. But if you go
So why would it close?
It's closing because it's like the time.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay, so you heard it all. Why they're aligned. So this show is very popular. Usually tickets go up to almost $200 per ticket. But if you get here the day of the show very early, you can get them at a very discounted price. So 5 times less, 5 times cheaper than the usual price. And here is a line to this restaurant. I don't know why, but this diner gets really popular. I should probably visit it once. It must be really good. It's like no matter when I pass here, regardless of the day, regardless of time of the day, there's always a big line here. Big red apple. You are right. So there will be a New Year in Chinatown. There will be, and we will go there. Do you know on which day or which days it's celebrated this year? When? Chinese New Year. So and now we are going to cross 7th Avenue and go, as I told you, to the secret 6.5 Avenue. But let's do it on the next street since the light is still red. This avenue gets really busy with tourists, but if you step aside just by one avenue sometimes in New York, it will be much less crowded. Not a lot of tourists know about this, but it is the case. Okay, do not cross like that. It's New York way of crossing. Do not repeat. That's one of the reasons why. Because there can be cars that will back up. Alright. See, Avenue can be very busy, but streets next to it can be almost empty. Again, there are no residential buildings. Now, the place where we are now is full of hotels, little cafes, Starbucks, and of course offices. There are offices of major companies here, including mostly financial companies. And a little higher up, a little closer to Central Park, that's where residential buildings, a few of them, not many, start to be mixed with offices. You have just subscribed. That is great news. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to all subscribers, all followers, all people who want to see New York. So we didn't start 6.5 Avenue from the very beginning, but we did get to it eventually. To the right, there is a gym with a swimming pool. There are not many swimming pools in Manhattan. I would say there are almost none. And swimming pools are only with gyms, unless you go to Roosevelt Island, where there is a separate swimming pool and you don't need to be a gym member to go there. And gym memberships are very expensive in the city. So cars have to stop here. There is a stop sign and they are very strict about it here. Yeah, in a lot of other places they just ignore stop sign, but here they don't. So as I told you, the name of the avenue is 6.5. And if you want to hide from the rain, from snow, from whatnot, you should go here. We will go back to it, but I first want to show you a restaurant with a car decorated for summer, it seems. I thought they would change decoration for this season, which is winter, but it still seems very summerish. Ta-da! So if you like Instagram pictures or pictures for your other social media, do come here. Not a lot of people know about it, and you will have some great shots for your social media. So we're going back to 6.5 Avenue. Here, just like on Times Square on Broadway, there's always smell of weed. People who smoke weed prefer this area because it's closed, and I guess they can enjoy the stagnant smell of that instance. At least they're laughing from it. At least they're positive. So you see there is a fence, so they close this place for the night. It's not always open, as I told you. This is one of the most famous hotels in the area. It's Hilton Hotel. It looks like a radiator from here. And this is a French restaurant. And we can see when this place is open. So not this particular place, but when 6.5 Avenue closes in general. So it's open to public, so anyone can go here between hours of 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. Here is that beautiful restaurant, still with a Christmas tree, which I'm sure will be no longer here starting next week, which means in 2 days it will be gone. Christmas and New Year's pass very, very quickly here, and they try to put people back in a work mood right after all holidays are over. In some countries it lasts longer. Beautiful restaurant as well. And we will go to next place, also on 6.5 Avenue. It's not exactly straight ahead, it's a little to the left, as you can see. Cool look. Yes, it is. Looks very nice. What does the restaurant look like? I will show you Papillon if we didn't pass it. Oh, actually maybe the next time I'll show you Papillon. It's still decorated for Christmas, but also, just like this place, I don't think it will stay like that much longer. Okay, so next place on 6.5 Avenue greets, so a homeless greets us right by the entrance of it. Actually, I just noticed that some of these passages close and open at different times. So this particular one, it opens at 7 and closes at 11 p.m. So what happens to him? Oh, he's probably a ward. He's security. And just like that, I think this is the last passage of 6.5 Avenue. So we will be turning right to go to 6th Avenue, also known as Avenue of the America. Oh no, I'm actually wrong. 6.5 Avenue continues. It's just inside the building. So these passages look different compared to the next one where we'll go now. It's a building where people work and we can pass through it. It's also a public passage, which is unusual.
So then,
But if we can go there, we will. Thank you. Yes. See, it says public access, open from 8 a.m. till midnight. So all of them close at different times. Yes, 6.5 Avenue. I think you can go to offices from here. That's strange. Maybe not. Maybe next building? No, you can't. That's so weird. I wonder what the idea behind these passages was. Okay. And this one is actually good if you are cold and you want to warm up a little. Someone is a huge fan of races, the one who put races graffiti on his car funny. Okay, so let's see if this one is also a public passage. In most buildings, in all buildings, I would say in Manhattan, you cannot simply walk in if they are not passages. It's most of the times access is allowed by registration, which means you need to attend someone in the company here, or you need to know someone, so you wouldn't be able to just access any building. Same with residential buildings. You need to have a pass, you see? And just like that, I think we will exit on 57th Street already. Okay, even better. Good connection. Good. Oh, so this is a famous street with high-rise buildings, which are now scraping the sky. And this is the most expensive skyscraper right now. So this is called Billionaires Mile, 57th Street. And we're walking towards 6th Avenue, also known as Avenue of the Americas. And then we will turn to Central Park. Central Park is located between 59th and 110th Street, and it's spread along several avenues. And you can spend a whole day, if not more, walking around Central Park. A lot of construction, as you can see and hear in the city. You probably will not see one single street or two streets one after another without scaffolding. As you can see, there is scaffolding on the left, there is scaffolding on the right. Then as we will cross, you will see more scaffolding right after the traffic light. Dmitry understands. Ooh, it's actually getting hot. So this is the tallest residential building in the world with the most expensive apartments. And this is the building that looks very nice in the sun, or in general, with the blue sky. So in 2 streets after we turn, we will see Central Park already. It's pretty close. Central Park changes depending on season, not just meaning that leaves fall from the trees, but also birds and other wildlife, how they appear. Like a lot of birds appear there just for winter season. Some come only in summer, or mostly in summer. And raccoons, you can see raccoons year round, but in summer more so than in winter. And if you want to guarantee to be 100% sure that you would see a raccoon, just come in summer late when it gets dark and find trash. You will be sure to meet them there. They are not in the zoo, they just walk in the wild. It's not allowed, it's not recommended to touch them. But some people don't care. So, as I said, there is scaffolding there on the right as well, also straight ahead. So there is not 1 or 2 streets without it. Homeless, always homeless. Homeless bike as well. And a lot of homeless here are not same as homeless in Europe, meaning they don't have to live in streets like that. Yes, there are circumstances, or there can be circumstances where they had to leave their home or where they lost their home or where they can't pay for a place to live. But all homeless get support here in New York. They get shelter, they get food from the city, from just individuals, from the church, but a lot of them choose to still live in streets, just like you saw now, because they also want people to just give them money. So there's no limit for what they can get. And Social Security also pays them pretty good money, so enough for them to even rent a room somewhere. And you can already see Central Park as we're approaching it, and famous horses. There are a lot of people who are not happy that there are horses here because they are treated badly. They are, I don't want to say like one bad story about what happened to one of them last year, but I can also understand people who are against horses carrying tourists or locals here. They just need to be treated better, I think, because it's also like a business card of New York. Even if you watch the movie Home Alone 2, you probably remember that even back then there were horses here. So the idea I don't think is bad, and it's good for them to have some kind of load. They're meant for this. But if they could be treated a little better, it would not hurt. To the right there is Fifth Avenue. We will walk there in a few minutes, but now I will show you some Central Park. To the left there is famous Columbus Circle. It's right over there. And Central Park has many entrances. One of them is here. One of the main ones, I would say, is here. Carriage. There are a lot of carriages now that look more like carriages for winter. So this one is more like an open type of carriage, while carriage, which I will show now, looks more comfortable for this type of weather and for this season. This year, a lot of trees stayed green all the way until December. So this is the carriage which I'm talking about. And you can see prices. So for the first 20 minutes, you would pay $63.70. Each additional 10 minutes cost $25.48. And people who drive horses, they cannot make this price any higher. It is illegal because this is the price that is set up by the city of New York. Snowy Central Park is wonderful. Looking forward to snow? Yes. I hope it will snow soon. It's still very warm. I would say it's only 5 degrees Celsius, but it's very rare, extremely rare, when it's not windy in New York. And now it's one of such days. Not a single hint of wind. Especially it's strange when it's in winter. Okay. So a lot of times raccoons can be found here, but not now because it's early and they're not hungry. They only get outside when, usually in the evening, or yes, usually in the evening. I apologize, I had a call, so connection might have changed a little. So this is Central Park. it has its own charm in such weather as well. And birds, which you might be able to hear now, are blue jays. They're big blue birds that look like parrots. A lot of people pass and don't even notice or don't pay attention to that, but there are signs on pretty much each bench in the city, in Central Park, and each of these signs costs at least $10,000. Usually people donate even more money for them. For example, see, sometimes it's just a name, sometimes it's a message to someone, sometimes it's a praise of something. Beautiful winter day today, very calm. When you walk in Central Park, also pay attention to tops of the trees. Why am I saying that? If you like wildlife and if you are keen on finding a raccoon, you have high chances of spotting them on trees. They go there during the day and they feel comfortable just laying there and sleeping. Or they can hide, just like squirrels, in some holes inside the tree. Right, squirrel? Acrobat squirrel. This channel is only in English. I can respond in the Russian to comments or in other language if you write in a different language, but this specific channel is meant for English speaking people. There is a famous skating rink to the left, but we will go to another famous place right now, a bridge in Central Park. We will definitely see a squirrel and possibly a raccoon. Raccoon, not now, it's very early and there is no trash outside. And squirrels, we have just seen a few. Beautiful day. No wind is blowing, which is so unusual. Some trees stay green year-round and not just Christmas trees. And this is the famous bridge, but you will be able to recognize it when we go to the other side of it. I wish I had moderators. Wait, hold on. 1 second. Svetlana, hi. I'm glad to see you here. Iceberg, bye-bye. Do you hear birds sing? When it starts to get colder in fall, or in autumn as they would say in Europe, they put out this green sign, or this red signs, which mean that you cannot walk on ice here, it's not safe. In winter, a lot of trees here still bloom, or bushes, just like this one. You see? It's yellow. Not long ago it was snowing and it was pretty bad weather. It was below 25 degrees Celsius here, so the pond to the left was completely frozen, but no more. better in English. Nick, I'm glad to see you here. When are you coming to New York, or when are you coming to America? Here is a view to Plaza, famous Plaza Hotel from movie Home Alone 2, which probably a lot of people watch for Christmas. It's very popular in Europe. And I will show you this bridge, Gatsby Bridge from the other side. I'm trying to speak clearly and slowly so that people whose first language is not English can understand what I'm saying. Squirrel. More squirrels. And there are actually blue jay birds, which I spoke to you about. I cannot zoom in here, unfortunately. Connection might get worse here, but I hope it will not. I hope it will stay as good as it was all this time. I agree that view to Manhattan from here is absolutely stunning. A lot of birds, but I think that mostly sparrows or nightingale. That's amazing. Alright, and this is the most probably famous view of this bridge from a lot of movies, from pictures of New York, and I will finish this stream by showing Manhattan covered in fog. Thank you for watching this stream. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. Thank you for all the likes and any comments that you left or that you will leave after the stream is over. Have a great day, and I will see you next time.